Hey guys, it's Janelle. I'm one of your retail business coaches here with Canadian Retail Solutions. In addition to that role, I'm actually also a retailer. I have my own independent retail business, so I get it. I am with you when it comes to how tricky it can be to run a retail business. Now, I wanted to share with you today 4 of the best pieces of advice I have received in my very lengthy journey here as a retail business owner, independent retail business owner. So, number 1, I learned this before I even opened my store. I had a really great business coach, and she told me, figure out what you're good at and hire someone to do the rest. Okay? So we are not all experts in everything, and you're not expected to be an expert in anything. In everything, excuse me. So immediately I hired an accountant because I knew I did not come from a background where I knew really a lot about retail. I've learned a lot along the way, but I sure did not start that way. In addition, I highly recommend, if you're looking at a lease, for example, be sure to partner with a commercial lawyer who has very good expertise in reviewing commercial lease agreements, okay? Commercial lease agreements, they can be fairly big and scary, and they're actually written to protect the landlord more than they are to protect the tenant. So make sure that you have a good lawyer who, again, is familiar with commercial lease reviews and who can go through every clause with you and make sure that there's nothing in there that stands out. Okay, so piece of advice number 1, figure out what you're good at and pay someone else to do the rest. Okay, number 2, hire slowly and fire quickly. Your business is your baby. You need to do everything you can to protect that baby. And when you hire people, they are going to be running your baby and taking care of your baby. If they're not the right fit from the standpoint of their skill set and you can't train them and they don't fit in your culture, part ways sooner rather than later. It's easier on them, it's easier on your staff, it's easier on you, and quite frankly, in the long run, it's going to be much less expensive if you part ways quickly. So piece of advice number 2 is hire slowly and fire quickly. Piece of advice number 3, this is one of my favorites. I have to give a shout out to Mercedes Gonzalez, who was the person that taught me this piece of advice before I opened my store. Her voice rings in my ears every time I'm buying, and she says, you can't fill a store with things you love. You have to fill a store with things that will sell. Okay? I'm not necessarily my customer, and that's okay. All I need is to fill my store with things that my customers will love. The interesting thing too is the best buyers are not emotionally attached to their merchandise, and because of that, when merchandise needs to be marked down, it's easy to do. You're not emotionally attached to it. So do not fill your store with things you love. Fill your store with things that will sell. Okay? And piece of advice number 4. This is probably the best piece of advice I can share with you, and that is, whatever you're doing, the sooner the better. Hire a business coach. Hire a business coach who is specific to retail. When you have your own independent retail business, which I do as well, it's lonely, man. Nobody gets it unless you're also an independent retailer or a business coach that works with independent retailers. When things are difficult or when you have a situation that you're not sure how to walk through, you can't ask your staff. You can't let on to them that things are tough. You can't talk to your competition about it. You certainly can't talk to your customers. And I'll tell you what, there's times when you don't even feel like you can talk to your family. But you know who you can talk to is your business coach, and they understand. So, just like I said, piece of advice number 4 is get a business coach who is familiar with retail. Guys, those are 4 of my top pieces of advice I can share with you right now. I'm sure I'll come up with more, so please stay tuned and check out our other videos here at CRS. As always, guys, happy retailing.